Whenever you put an object onto the scales, you always need to tear the scales back to zero. In this case, a scale pan has been put onto the scales and then the flour is being weighed on this. Do not make the mistake of putting an object onto the scales and not tearing that, because you won't have the correct weight for your ingredients. Always keep your yeast away from salt. The salts can seriously damage the yeast or even kill the yeast when it comes into contact with it. Good practice would be to keep your yeast away from all the ingredients until you're ready to mix. Every recipe will have a dough temperature. Therefore, you will not only have to weigh your water, you will also need to take the temperature of your water too. A calculation will be given on each recipe you do. Every recipe will have a mixing time. You'll have 2 minutes on slow speed and 6 minutes on fast speed. This is on a spiral mixer. We also have planetary mixers. Now sometimes this can vary with a planetary mixer. Slow speed on the mixer is just mixing your ingredients together. Once this swaps over to the faster speed, this is when a dough starts to form. This is when the gluten is starting to form too. This will give the stretchiness in your dough. If you don't mix long enough in the dough, you won't get the stretchiness in the gluten. Therefore, doughs won't rise as much. Waiting for the mixer to stop fully is a health and safety precaution. Always wait for that mixer to stop. Never ever put your hands inside the mixer when the spiral hook is moving. With B.F.P doughs, after mixing, you relax the dough for around about an hour. This then matures the dough naturally. After about 45 minutes, you give it a quick knock back and just relax it again for another 15 minutes. And then it's time to scale your dough. In this case, we've got small and large loaves, 950, 960 for a large one and 490 to 500 for a small. You'll then ball the dough up and place it back into a board and then rest for another 5 or 10 minutes. This will just relax the gluten a little bit because it's quite elastic at the moment. And then after them 5 or 10 minutes, the dough will become more extensible. That means you'll be able to mold the dough a lot easier. After that small rest, it's then time for what we call the final mould. This will be pressing out the dough, folding in the dough and rolling up the dough to the shape and size that you require. And these were placed onto a silicone lined tray. We can also use machines to mould our dough. We have machines that are called final moulders. We also have machines called bun divider moulders. In your assessments, you'll be expected to use a mixture of hand moulding and machine moulding. After you finish moulding your dough, it will go into what we call a prover. This will have a temperature and also a humidity setting. After proving your batch bread, you sieve some flour over the top and then you cut a line right down the middle. All ovens are different when it comes to baking. You need to make sure that you've got the right temperature and the right time for your bread. Crusty breads will have steam at the beginning of bake. Halfway through bake, you'll release the steam out of the oven. You will use a damper to do this. This will then release any excess steam that is left in the oven and help with the crust. All bread with an after bake weight of over 300 grams needs to be weighed. In this case, it's over 800 grams for the large and 400 grams for the small.